Next question comes from Sheila de Guzman. She asks, if you are not elected as president, how do you plan to support the president? Jeffrey Noel, you'll be first.
I think it's very important to kind of represent the administration that we have. While there are going to be 4 of us that are here right now aren't going to be in the office of president next year. But it's important that all of us represent the student body as best we can and bring the best aspects from each of our tickets to the student body. Personally, communication has been a big issue with my running mate and I, and that's something very important that I find as a mass communication major. And I would hope that one way I could help the next president, if it's not me, is to help him communicate with the students best. Use the knowledge I have as an advertising major, or that my running mate has as a journalism major, to help him communicate with the students, get the information out to the students, and make sure we have an effective way of getting that information back to the government so we can use it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jeffrey. Next will be Stuart.
Over the course of the campaign, Martina and I have done extensive research on all of our initiatives, and we feel that there are things that are going to happen no matter if we're elected or not. One thing that we're very passionate about is the bus system and finding a safe way for our students to get to and from campus and back at night in a safe and healthy way. That's just something that Martina and I are very passionate about. Also, extending the library time around finals and midterms week. We went to Dean Cargill and said, we need to work out an option for our students and a place for them to study. She said, all you had to do was ask. If there's one thing, Martina and I have loved being student leaders here on this campus. We love our university, we love being involved, and whatever way the president and vice president want to ask us and want to get us involved, we'll do so.
Great. Thank you, Stuart. Greg?
The first thing next year, whether elected or not, I want to make sure that a lot of the initiatives that I've personally done this year are continued within the next administration. For instance, I created a student initiative committee in which we went and asked students, what is it that you want student government to do for you? 3 of those ideas will be on the ballot tomorrow and they will be voted on, and one of those will actually be implemented. I want to make sure that this becomes a permanent committee with both members of exec staff, senate, as well as just normal students. I created a statistician position in which is going out and asking the students, what do you think about controversial issues such as gun control, and asking students how much are you spending on textbooks. I want to make sure this becomes a permanent part of the executive staff whether I'm president or not. Another thing I really want to do is really work with the budget cuts this summer whether elected or not. I will be at the state legislature. I will be coming up with this quantifiable cost, and I will be presenting that to the state legislature this summer. I really hope that whoever is president, they really support me in that, and so they really back us up so we can present that to the state legislature and hopefully have less cuts to education this upcoming year.
Great. Thank you, Greg. Next will be Andy Palmero.
Well, I've been in student government since my first semester at LSU, and I've always had the student's voice as the main priority for me. But if not elected, I'm going to continue my work in the Student Senate. I have my Senate seat to the end of the fall semester, and I may even run again for another term if I do lose, because I see there's major differences on this campus that we can make. There's a lot of my initiatives that can be done if elected or not. So we're going to continue to do that. Some people have asked me, what happens if you don't win? I'm going to get my initiatives done because this is something that students want. The students want this, and we're going to get that done for them, and taking their voices to the administration on all issues, regardless if we're president or not. Thanks.
Okay, and finally, Ari.
I'm so very excited to tell you all that we really, the gentlemen standing around me, have had such a wonderful discourse over the course of this election. I have no qualms about working with any of them, and should unity not be successful, although we sure hope we are, we will absolutely work with everyone else who's going to be involved. We really want to make sure that our Student Organizations Committee is worked on in the next year. We think that this is an important step in opening the lines of communication between us as SG and the student government. We also want to make sure that the additional step to orientation that we are proposing is going to be enacted. This would allow students to really get involved from the beginning of their time here at LSU and really help to open the lines of communication that we so desperately need in this hard economic time. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, guys. And finally, for our last question, is going to address what lots of students is very concerned about, is athletics. How will your ticket contribute to either the students' welfare in any sport? Jeffrey?
Well, athletics is a big issue for me. I've gone to, I think, every football game, home football game in the past 2 years and made almost every away game last year. I just missed Arkansas just barely because of family. But I think it's important because the priority point is kind of an issue with students. I know not every student can afford to go to away games, and it's a big issue that when you have to work on a weekend, why should you be missing out on 5 points a game? That's something that a lot of students have brought to us. It's also an issue with a lot of students getting into Tiger Stadium. If it rains, your ticket's gone, and you don't have a way to get back in. So I think either establishing more printing stations to where you can print more tickets is better, or if there's a way that we can get those tickets on a Tiger card. I know it's been in the talks, but the technology may not be there. But it's something that we want to push because I know it's something that the students want for athletics. I think it's really important that we just work with the students to get things done that they want done.
Thank you, Jeff.
Part of the greatest thing about the LSU experience is LSU athletics, and when Martina and I developed initiatives for athletics and for students, we went straight to the top, and that was presenting them in front of Joe Oliva, and we were very fortunate to have him approve all of our initiatives, things like more bag check lines, and also cheaper concessions in the student section. That's something that had already been determined in years past, but we want to bring it back. And if you use your Tiger card, you'll receive a certain percentage off concessions within the student section. Also, one of our favorite options is the student tickets for recent graduate seniors of LSU. That way, they can relive that same experience that they've had for the past 4 or 5 years once they've graduated.
Great. Thank you. Next is Greg.
The first thing that I think everyone wants is priority points on pause. We all know how aggravating it is at the end of the season when we go to get our bowl game tickets and we just really don't know how many points we have. Another thing our administration is going to do is set a proposal in order to have a set minimum percentage of Tiger Stadium available for student sections, so that way it isn't a discussion that happens year after year after year. Also, many students go to away games, and that's great because they get extra priority points, but a lot of students can't travel on weekends, either for monetary reasons or they just are really busy. So we really want to have a system so that you get extra points if you attend every game in Tiger Stadium. Another thing we really want to do is this last year, the freshmen, they got their tickets based upon a lottery as opposed to a first-come, first-served basis. A lot of students who really wanted tickets did not get tickets, and a lot of students who just put their name in the lottery, they ended up and they did get tickets. So we're going to make it so the students who want them most will get them.
Great. Thank you. Andy?
One of the big initiatives that me and Phoebe have decided to run on is getting a student parking lot on game day. So many times students pay for a parking pass Monday through Friday. Why can't they have that on Saturday as well? So what we propose for the football game day is having the Heart Lot by Kirby Smith just for students, just for commuter students that live off campus. We would also mark off one section of this lot for Tiger Band members. They come to campus all day and give their heart and soul for this university, and we need to make accommodations for them as well. One thing that Stuart brought up is that he talked about cheaper concession options, and that's something. What has happened is we had an agreement through Michelle Gigg a couple administrations ago that made an agreement with the athletic department that gave students a cheaper option. That was lost from administration to administration. What we need to do is we need to keep the administration accountable for the transition documents, because administration to administration, we shouldn't lose those. We should keep those voices heard, and we should make sure that students are heard in every decision.
Great. Thank you, Andy. Ari, finally.
As many of my cohorts up here have said, Tiger Athletics is one of the most wonderful things about coming here to LSU. From baseball to football to all the other sports, swimming and tennis, we have great sports here at LSU, so we need to make them as available as possible to the students. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to offer less expensive concessions in light of the recent economic crisis. I don't think that we'll be able to get more seats for the students. Tiger Athletic Foundation is not going to give up their seats. But what we can do is work with Joe Oliva and the rest of the administration in the athletic department to make students, available to students as many games as possible for all of the sports, and be able to treat them as though everybody will be able to attend. We've got to be able to make sure that students are able to see and cheer on their teams here at LSU. Go Tigers!
All right, thank you guys. That'll conclude our round robin, asking our presidential candidates your questions. When we come back, it's rebuttal time. Your candidates get to speak their mind on the issues of the night. Stay tuned. This is Tiger TV's live coverage of the student government president and vice president debate.